Hey guys, today I will be presenting about the notorious serial killer and sex offender Jeffrey Dahmer. Jeffrey Dahmer was born in Wisconsin on May 21st, 1960. He had a few turning points during his early childhood that led to his deadly actions. First, when he was 6 years old, he underwent a minor surgery that led to a decrease in self-confidence and he became insular. Another turning point was when his family moved to Ohio, where he found himself friendless. The last straw was his parents' divorce. His first victim was after his high school graduation in 1978, where he picked up a hitchhiker. He then killed the victim, dismembered the body, put the parts in plastic bags, and buried them behind his parents' house. Dahmer then enlisted into Ohio State University, where he dropped out after one semester due to a drinking problem. He then enlisted into the army, where he was placed in Germany. His drinking problem progressed, and he was discharged from the army after a couple of years. At this point, it has been 3 years since his first killing. He returned to his parents' house, dug out their remains, and attempted to demolish the pieces by hitting them with a hammer and then scattering the pieces even more wildly into the woods. He then got arrested twice for disorderly conduct in 2 years. His next arrest wasn't until 1986 for doing sexual acts in front of 2 young boys, where he was given a 1-year probationary sentence. It wasn't until 1987 when his second victim was killed. He met a guy at a bar and then later ended up checking into a hotel room, where then he later claimed that he was found dead in the morning. Dahmer then had sexual acts with the dead victim before dismembering and disposing the remains in the garbage. The remains were never found. And that was only the beginning of his killing spree. During the duration of the next 13 years, he lured men home, mostly African Americans, and would feed them alcohol laced with drugs before strangling them to death. He continued to engage in sexual acts with the corpses before dismembering them and disposing of them. He even often kept their genitals or skulls as souvenirs. He achieved gratification by assembling the skulls and doing sexual acts in front of them. A couple years later, Dahmer was charged with sexual exploitation and a second degree of sexual assault for an encounter he had with a 13-year-old boy. He was given a sentence of 1 year in prison, where he was allowed to go to work during the day and return at night, and a 5-year probationary sentence. He received an early release after serving for 10 months. In 1990, he moved to his own apartment, and then within 15 months, he murdered another 12 people in the same manner. He would even consume the flesh of some of his victims. It wasn't until July 22nd, 1991, that Dahmer got caught. Police officers found a young African-American man wandering the streets and decided to investigate. The investigation led to Dahmer's house, where police found photographs of dismembered bodies lying around. They searched his house and found heads in the fridge, preserved skulls, genitals, and more photographs. His trial began on January 13th of 1992. He initially pleaded not guilty, but confessed to the killings during the police interrogations. He then pleaded guilty by virtue of insanity. He gave gruesome details of his killings to prove his insanity, and then on February 17th of 1992, the jury found him guilty but sane. The jury believed he was fully aware of his actions. He was sentenced to 15 consecutive life terms in prison. 2 years later, in 1994, an inmate named Christopher Scarver had killed Jeffrey Dahmer. The end. Have a great day.